We say welcome and greetings to our virtual family in the Facebook community and our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us here at the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. We are making a slight adjustment in our service to include our virtual community this morning, inviting you to recite along with us several standards of our Declaration of Principles. The Declaration of Principles is an insight from Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of religious science. And these principles are based on a short essay entitled What I Believe that was written by Ernest Holmes as part of the founding of this philosophy and teaching. Traditionally, in our religious science communities, we review the first 4 chapters. Actually, it's the introduction to the Science of Mind textbook in January as a means of bringing us back to our basics. And so I have selected the standards this morning that deal with the first idea of God, which is the thing itself. And so I invite us to read this together. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in all, and that all are incarnations of the one Spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. Thank you. Today we introduce our Centers for Spiritual Living annual theme, which is a grand rising. This will be our theme for the entire year, and we will be exploring various aspects of this theme. I want to give a shout out and gratitude to Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards, my friend and colleague from the East Bay Church of Religious Science in Oakland, who really threw down last Sunday. Thank you, Monterey, for welcoming D. Jacqueline and embracing her with the love that we are. And also a huge thank you to everyone who participated in First Night, especially the volunteers who showed up and just represented our Monterey Center for Spiritual Living as the example of love and blessings that we are. 2024, a new year and a new beginning. The collective reading that we share together sets the tone for 2024. We will review the basics of our Science of Mind teachings by Ernest Holmes, which these are the aspects of God that Ernest identified: the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. In 2020, a global pandemic swept into our lives, shaking us out of our comfort zones and requiring us to look at every aspect of our lives, including how we do church, how we do spiritual gatherings, however it is that we term it. Here at the Monterey Center, we were recruiting for a new senior minister at the time of the pandemic. I, along with others, came to support as guest speakers, and we suddenly had to identify the best way to adjust to our world when our centers and everything else was closed down and we could no longer gather in person. I must say this fantastic community answered the call to service. At the onset of the lockdown, we held our gathering with the limited 40-minute Zoom meeting option. And we quickly discovered that 40 minutes just wasn't enough for us to connect and to be in communion with one another. And so we subscribed to the extended version, which we are continuing to use, that allows us to engage more with each other. During that time, we explored the best way to include music and community voices and other aspects of our community, working with the sound system that was not fully adequate to adjust to this new change that we were experiencing. So a lot of things were going on that really upset and turned around the way that we do church. We hired a new minister, yours truly, thank you very much. And as a community, we discovered new ways to work things out to keep us in the flow. And we're still discovering new ways to be in the flow and to adjust what is changing. Now, this may sound like my introduction to the annual meeting, but it is not. However, I think as a community, we deserve applause. So let's applaud ourselves for what we have done. Continuing to manage and tweak this new experience is an example of what Ernest Holmes describes as the thing itself, which is another one of the names for God. In Science of Mind, we teach that God is all there is. And then when we let go of our way, my way or the highway, when we let go of that aspect and open our hearts and our minds to be in the flow of the divine, everything unfolds according to a divine plan. It all works out for our highest good. Now, I would also like to recognize that for some, the word God brings up a lot of angst, perhaps anger, perhaps abuse. Whatever it is that word God represents for you, let that be. And select another word or another phrase that identifies your connection with the higher power. We're not married to the word God. In fact, in religious science, we will use a number of expressions to identify this creative intelligence. Recently, I've been listening to a podcast by a Buddhist monk who is going through the Bhagavad Gita and is explaining that in the Buddhist tradition and in other traditions, there are at least 108 names for God. In the tradition of Islam, there's another number that identifies the names for God. In the Jewish and Hebrew tradition, there's a belief that the name of the Holy One is so sacred that it is not spoken or written. And so in Jewish writings, you will see G-OD as their way of representing and identifying Yahweh or the Enlightened One, or however it is that they recognize. And so what I'm offering to you is if you've been wounded by God, let it go. Identify what works for you and work it. Nearing the 4-year anniversary of this pivotal moment may be an opportune time for us to ask the question, is the way we do church still working for us? Now, I'm not saying we're going to totally upset everything and throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's not what I'm advocating, but it's an opportunity for us to ask what really is going to make the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living the ideal place for us to show up and be a part of, to be active in, to contribute to see its growth and expansion. The structure of our Sunday morning gatherings in most of our centers are based on a traditional American Christian service format. For some communities, this traditional format is working well, while others are realizing that this current platform for spiritual service is not working for them. Other centers are meeting virtually only. And some of this is due to building closures or sales of buildings while the pandemic was going on, shifts in the demographics of their community, a number of variables. Some other centers are experiencing shifts as they open their doors, including the hybrid version, which we are following currently. And we're just learning as we go. And this is what we experience in Science of Mind as we say that we are open at the top. We experience and we adjust and we be the flow rather than resisting the flow. we be in the flow as we go. And this question about the format or the platform that is used for Sunday service is up for discussion and inquiry in a number of our CSL communities, Centers for Spiritual Living communities. I know the question has been posted on the ministers' listserv, what are you doing differently? Or I'm thinking about changing. I don't know what it's going to look like. Share some ideas with me. So these are the types of conversations that are going on in the background. Whatever we do, we begin with the question, what does a grand rising look like within our community if we start each day with an intention to co-create a world that works for everyone, that is led by the divine? In our Saturday visioning yesterday, an intention was revealed as we were talking about, as we were sharing what had come up for those of us who were on the call in terms of the visioning process. And this intention showed up, and I said, this is going to show up in the Sunday service. And what was revealed is never leave spirit out of the equation. Never leave spirit out of the equation. Whatever it is that we do, not only related to how we do church, but how we live our lives as expressions of the divine, never leave spirit out of the equation. And this reminded me of a scripture in the book of Proverbs, and it is chapter 4, verse 7, and I'm sharing from the New Revised Standard Version. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, and whatever else you can get understanding. Get understanding. So along with wisdom, we get understanding. And some translations use the word insight in place of understanding. What this is saying is that as we go along our journey called life, as we live the experiences of life, as we gain wisdom and understanding, that we get an understanding and a reminder to never leave spirit out of the equation. As we embrace a grand rising, remember, spirit reveals the ideas and the process to enact in each of our individual lives and communities. Ernest Holmes wrote this in the Science of Mind textbook, and it's on page 53. We should learn to control our thought process and bring them into line with reality. Thought should tend more and more toward an affirmative attitude of the mind that is positive, stable, and above all else, toward a real unity with spirit that is already complete and perfect. And so as we look at our title for this morning, It's a New Dawn, we look at, number one, the power of intention. The practice of New Year's resolutions is shifting away from resolutions towards intention setting. Resolutions set at the beginning of the year may soon be forgotten. I remember when I was doing New Year's resolutions, by the end of January, I had forgotten what I had resolved to do. Or I had blown it so many times, I just wrote it off. What works with intentions is that they can be revisited throughout the entire year. An intention is a goal. It is something to strive for. Starting our day with a positive intention and a deliberate connection with spirit allows this energy to remain with us throughout our entire day. The daily habit of beginning with the grand rising inspires us to live spiritual qualities at the center of our lives. So it's all about remembering that we are spiritual beings living in this material universe. And spirit is always that which is a part of us. There's no place where spirit or God or the energy, the creative energy, stops and we begin. We're all together. We're all united. Creating visioning boards at the beginning of the year may serve as a daily visual reminder of our intentions. We may use a journal or a planner to set and track our personal intentions. We can look at the day ahead and experience a feeling of being crushed by to-do lists or perceptions of responsibilities. Or we can remember that our only responsibility is to express ourselves as divine beings. The material world we live in is not designed to support or to remind us of our divinity. The material world that we live in, is not designed to support our individuality or our divinity. And so starting anew, begin each day with an intention to consciously connect with the divine, allowing ourselves to incorporate practices in our lives that we can share with others and bring a new energy throughout our lives. And in viewing a new dawn, we set an intention for a whole new world. The global pandemic changed our lives forever. While we were going through it, many of us ached for the day that life would go back to normal as we knew it. That version of normal is now becoming a distant memory, and we're experiencing a new normal, which we are collectively writing as we heal from the shared trauma of the experience of the pandemic. And we are revealing now for ourselves. We are rewriting history. We're actually rewriting history worldwide and redefining what normal means. And in this redefinition, there are some things that we may find value in the past that serve our growth and our expansion. Those things that are limiting, that are not serving, we leave those in the past. Just a quick share of a personal experience. I decided to go through all of my old journals. I was talking with a friend, and we were talking about that, and they shared with me, it's probably not wise to leave those journals around for someone else to read after you're gone, because they won't have the same meaning. And the more I thought about that, I go, not that my life is really that secret, but yet there are some things that I wouldn't want certain people to know about that I journaled about. I don't know if you've had that experience or not. But in going through the old journals, I did not take the time to read every single page that I had written. But as I glanced at certain sections as I was ripping them out and shredding them, I noticed some things that were aspects of my past that no longer serve me. And as I was thinking about that, I go, even though I'm not reflecting on this and I have moved past it, the energy of the written word that is still in my living space is circulating in the atmosphere. And I don't want that energy in my atmosphere any longer in any shape, form, or fashion. And so it has worked for me to shred those old journals. And I'm happy to acknowledge that I did the last one yesterday. So, so if it works for you, or whatever works for you, to release that baggage from the past, that which no longer serves you, do it and work it. As we are viewing a whole new world, we see social structures of oppressions being challenged in new ways. We're seeing more of an interest and an intent for self-care, for work-life balance, and for mental health support services that are becoming more and more normalized. I know on social media, I am seeing much more information about mental health services that I saw even maybe last year. It's just that there's a new awareness. And this is part of creating this new normal. It's recognizing that those things which we would call shameful or would cast aside, or would say, oh, well, that individual is kind of special. And it's moving into an awareness that mental health, much like high blood pressure, is one of those silent situations that is not always obvious. And as we become more aware of certain identifiers or certain triggers that involve mental health, perhaps our own mental health in some cases, then we now have tools that support us, or tools that we can suggest to someone that we love, someone that we're close to. And it's not about beating them up over the head and say, oh, you've got to go do this, you've got to go do that. You tell me I've got to do something, and I'm going to dig in like a pit bull that you're trying to restrain. It's making others aware of services and opportunities that are available and allowing them to choose, just as we like to have choice ourselves. Michael Singer writes in The Untethered Soul on page 81, the spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. In order to grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace change at all times. So it's giving up, releasing that struggle, or releasing that hold on to what is no longer working. We know deep within our own experience, deep within our own being, what is not working. But sometimes we find ourselves so gripped by the memory of that experience, or by the circumstances or the environment that constantly reinforces that we feel that we don't have a choice. Today, more and more people are identifying as spiritual than ever before. Traditional religions are not being discarded, but instead they are being incorporated into a new understanding of spirituality. And this is what we offer in metaphysical teachings, in our New Thought movement, in our ancient wisdom movement. We go back and call forward the ancient wisdom that is the grounding and is the basis for us to grow from. So it's a calling forth, it's a bringing into the present, learning from the avatars and the masters and the wise teachers, those things that are constant and allow us to expand and grow. People are waking up and recognizing their personal relationship with spirit, the thing itself, as Holmes calls it, which is much more powerful than blind acceptance of the wisdom of the ages. And I conclude with this story this morning that relates to our topic and also is an invitation and a call to action. 3 Black youth shared a room with 2 others at a homeless center in Oklahoma City. The 3 of them immediately found friendship, community, and support. Wide-eyed, optimistic, and with their minds on their own understanding of God, the 3 navigated complicated social service systems to meet their basic needs. To manage their challenges, they leaned into their spiritual practice. They posted vision boards on their walls, sought spiritual wisdom through oracle cards, and used affirmations to lift their spirits. One of them discovered a greeting made popular among the Black community on TikTok, Grand Rising. They explained to the shelter staff that they did not want to begin their day with good morning or morning. Each day, they wanted to experience a grand rising. They created a large poster for their room, greeting everyone with a grand rising. Not long after, one youth was reunited with their family. The other 2 set off for adventures in California. The last time the shelter heard from them, they were all doing well. The story of these 3 young people inspired this year's Centers for Spiritual Living annual theme, A Grand Rising. Now, this is where our opportunity comes in. It is time to step out of our comfort zones as a teaching, as a philosophy, as a movement, and become more visible in our communities to co-create a world that works for everyone. People in the community must become aware of our centers. Our centers for spiritual living can no longer be the world's best kept secret. You know, that's been one of our points of pride, if you will, that has prevented us, that has limited our awareness that if we want to create a world that works for everyone, that we have a message, and we make the message available, and we allow people to have a choice. It's time for us to emerge from the cocoon into this new world that is driven by faith, leading with courage, and moving with action. We have the freedom to shake off the years that have come before and step into our greatness using the lessons and wisdom gained from a collective participation in a grand rising. Our organization is designed to be open at the top. That's one of the buzzwords that you will hear in religious science communities and in centers for spiritual living places. You know, we're open at the top. Ernest Holmes says we're open at the top. We're open at the top. Okay, what does open at the top mean? Open at the top means that we take the roof off of, we release all limitations of not only how we do church, but how we show up for our own selves in our lives, knowing that we shake off the ashes of the past and we rise into this new year like a phoenix, that we remember this African proverb: if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so the invitation is for us to go together as a community, as an organization, as a movement, and embrace a grand rising as we rise from the ashes and know that God is absolutely all that there is. This creative intelligence, this universal spirit, whatever it is that identifies with us as a name for the beloved. And I invite us now to say together our affirmation for this week. I start each day with a grand rising. Let us say that again. I start each day with a grand rising. And I invite us to, let's just take a breath together. Let's just breathe in and release. And in the release, let our awareness move into that place of knowing that there is an all-prevailing presence that is always a presence and never an absence. It is the one life, the one power, the one infinite knowing of absolutely all that there is. And each one, each living being, each expression of life is one with this divine creative intelligence, the source of all that there is. And as I stand in the great awareness of this beingness as my life, I know that I am divinely guided and blessed in all of my activities, in all of my thoughts, in all that I do, in all that I be, in all that I desire to have and accomplish in this life. Knowing that as I stand in the awesome awareness of this creative intelligence, I am divinely guided, guarded, and protected. And that love heals whatever it is in my life that requires a healing. And Ernest Holmes says that there is nothing to be healed, only the truth to be revealed. And so I declare this morning that truth is being revealed for each and every one of us right here, right now, as we are. The truth is that in the mind of this intelligence that created us, we are whole, perfect, and complete. Nothing to change, nothing to be taken away, nothing to be added to. We are our authentic selves right here and right now. And as I speak this word of truth for myself, I know that I speak it as a word of truth for all beings in all places and at all times. And so I bless those who are gathering in the name and nature of oneness, in the name and nature of wholeness, recognizing that each journey that is taking place in this material universe is leading us back to the spiritual universe that we call home. As we let go of judgment, as we let go of attachments to outcomes, as we just allow the divine to flow through us and as us, I'm knowing that everything works for our highest and best, and the highest and best of all that are concerned. Those who are experiencing a dis-ease in the body temple, a dis-ease in the body of the affairs, I know that healing, wholeness, and wellness is taking place right here and right now, and that everything is happening in divine right order. I know that as I speak this word, that I speak a word of consolation, a word of peace, a word of condolence for families who are experiencing the transition of loved ones, those who have stepped off of the mortal plane into immortality, those who have closed this chapter in the continuing book of life and have opened a new chapter in what to us is the invisible world. And we know that as we hold loved ones in our hearts and in our thoughts, they continue to live on. And the love that is shared is expanded and expanded and expanded. And so for this and so much more, I am truly grateful. And I release this word back into that law, which always says yes, knowing that it is done as I have declared. And if any of what I have said rings true for you in any way, I invite you to say with me, and so it is. And just an opportunity and a reminder for those of you who are here in the center, we have prayer request forms on our prayer table, and we invite you to not to go home with a problem. Write out your prayer request, leave it in our prayer chest, and the ministers and practitioners will support you in prayer for 30 days or longer. And if you would like to meet with the minister or a practitioner, there's an opportunity to fill out that information on the prayer request form. For those of you who are viewing in our virtual community, on our website, we have a prayer request form that we invite you to fill out. And this goes into a secure email box that I am the only one that has access to it. So you're assured of the confidentiality. We invite you to just take advantage of those opportunities for prayer. Also, we have our World Ministry of Prayers hosted by the Centers for Spiritual Living, and that contact information is on our website. And also we partner with Silent Unity to support you in prayer, and that contact information is on our website and also in our newsletter. So we invite you to take advantages of the prayer resources that are available. And now it is time for us to share in gracious giving, otherwise known as offering. And we don't come to you on Sundays begging for money. That is not my particular preference. But I will say thank you for the way that you continue to support this community, and invite you to, in any way that you can increase, we would appreciate it to help us to continue to provide the services and the outreach that we want to expand out to the community. Would also like to let you know that if you are local, we have spaces for rent in our center. We are making some changes and some modifications to some of the space, and we will be posting that rental information on our website. So know that space is available for rent here at the Monterey Center. Let us say together now our affirmation of abundance. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the uninterrupted flow of abundance. Prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so for those of you who are here in the center, we have a donation box on our hospitality table, and we invite you to leave your donations there. Other ways to support the center are by mail, and our mailing information is on your screen. It is also on our website and in our newsletter. You may text to give, that number is on our screen. And you may also donate online to montereycsl.org. And we appreciate your continual support and contributions. And just a few highlights for our virtual community so that you'll know what's happening. There is still an opportunity to sign up for the Centers for Spiritual Living Four Pivots book study. We had our first meeting last Tuesday. We're meeting the 5 Tuesdays in January from 4 to 5:30 Pacific time. And there's still time to register. And I think this would probably be the last week that you could sign up to really have a flavor of what the information is about. And to honor the confidentiality of the sharing that takes place in the Four Pivots book study, those sessions are not recorded. So you need to be present for that. Also, would like to let you know of our Centers for Spiritual Living annual meeting, which is taking place February the 19th through the 22nd in Charleston, South Carolina. And there is an early bird. The convention this year is both in person and virtual. So if you sign up for the virtual, you may still take advantage of the early bird until January 10th, not February 10th. January 10th, you can take advantage of the early bird special for either in person or annual, or the or online, in person or online via Zoom. And this year, the business meetings are open to the online attendees. They were not open last year, and the organization heard the concerns that, if you're inviting us to a business meeting, but you're not opening up the business transactions to the virtual community, then we're excluded. So this year we heard and we listened, and you're being included in that. And on this Saturday, which is January the 13th, Denise Kaku is presenting Name Your Year workshop. It will take place here in the center from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the cost is $49. And I believe that Denise will also be offering a virtual rendition of Name Your Year workshop the following week, which is the 20th. So on January 20th, if you miss the in-person, or if you're not in proximity to the center, this is something that I really encourage you to take advantage of. I did it last year and received my letter in the mail, and I looked and I go, oh, I did accomplish almost everything that was in my letter. So it is a worthwhile opportunity for us to set intentions, as I talked about. And so that is it for our community service opportunities. I would like to thank our virtual community, our Facebook and YouTube families, for being with us this morning. And we invite you to return next week as we continue our theme for the year, Grand Rising. And our topic is It's a New Day. So remember to like, share, and comment on our page so that we can expand this good news that God is love and that all is well. Thank you and good morning.